In 1667, two empires sat down at a table and made a trade. One side walked away with an island covered in swamp, fog, and mosquitoes. The other side walked away with an island, barely 2 miles long, covered in trees. The first island was Manhattan. The second island was Run, a speck of land in Indonesia, and at the time the only place on Earth where nutmeg grew. The Dutch took the nutmeg, the British took the swamp. 350 years later, that swamp produces more economic output than the entire country of Australia. And the Nutmeg Island, most people watching this have never even heard its name. That's New York City in one story. A place that looks like a mistake right up until it isn't. A city built on trades that seemed smart at the time and are still being made today. So let's do a trade of our own. 5 things that make New York City one of the greatest cities on Earth, and 5 things that are quietly breaking it. Let's start with the good. The city that out-earns countries. If New York City were its own country, its economy would rank 9th in the world, ahead of South Korea, ahead of Australia, the very country whose swampy trade partner it once was. Its gross city product crossed $1.28 trillion in 2023 alone, and the wider metro economy is worth over $2.6 trillion. That's not a city. That's a nation wearing a city's clothes. The most diverse place on Earth, walk 10 blocks in Queens. And you could hear over a dozen languages before lunch. New Yorkers speak more than 200 languages combined, in a workforce that's 43% foreign-born. The city hosts 136 diplomatic missions, embassies, consulates, high commissions, more foreign representation packed into 300 square miles than almost anywhere on the planet. It's less a melting pot and more a controlled experiment in what happens when the entire world moves in together. The engine. Nobody thinks. Here's a number that should stop the debate about immigration in New York cold. Immigrants are responsible for $625 billion of the New York metro area's $2 trillion GDP. Nearly a third. Immigrant workers make up 43% of the city's labor force, up from just 31% in 1990. Every subway you ride, every building you walk past, every restaurant that stays open past midnight, there's a very good chance an immigrant's labor built it, runs it, or keeps the lights on. A secret beach city. Nobody pictures New York when they think of Coastline. They picture concrete, steel, traffic. But New York City actually has 520 miles of coastline, longer than the combined coastlines of Miami, Boston, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, 4 of America's most famous coastal cities. And New York still beats them stacked together, the ocean city hiding inside the concrete city, the city that keeps reinventing itself. New York's green economy already pulls in $24 billion for the city and supports over 133,000 jobs. Climate tech startups alone raised $664 million in a single recent year. This is a city that survived Dutch rule, British rule, bankruptcy in the 70s, a crack epidemic, 9/11, and a pandemic. And every single time, it didn't just recover. It found a new industry to become obsessed with. Right now, that industry is climate tech. In 20 years, it'll be something we haven't even named yet. That's the good. Now, the bad. And this next part is going to hit differently. The invisible city of 350,000. As of early 2026, more than 350,000 people in New York City had no stable home. Not homeless in the dramatic sidewalk sense you're picturing. Many are doubled up, crammed into other people's apartments, invisible in the statistics until you actually go looking. Every single night, 96,500 people sleep in city shelters, and more than 154,000 New York City school children experienced homelessness at some point during just one school year. 1 in 8 kids in the entire public school system. The math that doesn't math. Here's the number that should make you angry, whichever side of the politics you're on. New York City now spends roughly $81,700 a year per unsheltered homeless person. That's more than the median household income of a working New Yorker with a job, an apartment, and bills to pay. The city is spending more to manage a crisis than most of its residents make trying to avoid falling into one. The second population living in the walls. New York City is estimated to be home to roughly 3 million rats. There's no official census because nobody can actually count them all. In one Harlem subway station, literally 100% of writers who reported sightings in a single month said yes, they saw a rat. 0 people reported seeing none. The city appointed an official rat czar. It launched education programs, and the data suggests, at least underground, humans are losing. Rats have been spotted at every single subway station that's been tracked. The price of just existing. There's something economists actually call the pizza principle. The price of a subway ride and the price of a slice of pizza have moved in near-perfect lockstep for over 50 years. It sounds like a fun fact. It's actually a quiet horror story. The cost of simply surviving in this city, eating, getting to work, has been climbing relentlessly for half a century and shows no sign of stopping. A history written in crises. New York doesn't have a peaceful history. In 1920, a horse-drawn carriage packed with dynamite exploded outside 23 Wall Street, the country's first act of domestic terrorism, unsolved to this day. The city went bankrupt in the 70s. It buried thousands after 9/11. It's a place that has never once been handed stability. It has had to fight for every decade of it. So here's the real trade New York made. Not the one in 1667. The one it makes every single day, right now. Incredible wealth sitting next to record homelessness. The most diverse workforce on Earth still fighting to be valued fairly. A coastline nobody notices, a rat population nobody can count, and a resilience nobody can quite explain. The Dutch thought they got the better deal when they walked away with a Nutmeg Island instead of a swamp. History had other plans. New York City isn't good. It isn't bad. It's just unfinished. And maybe that's exactly why the whole world can't stop watching it. If you learned something new today, subscribe, because this is just one trade in a much bigger story.